In 2000, the SV650 was the second biggest selling bike in Europe, behind the Bandit no less. It was one of the pillars of Suzuki's range, and people loved the SV for its huge versatility. Over time, the naked SV became the Gladius, or SV650 as it's now called, but now that's being put out to pasture because Suzuki is replacing it with this new SV650. The only thing separating the SFB and the SV is the absence of one letter. So the big question is this a new bike or an updated and rebranded SFB 650? Take a walk around the new SV and there's no mistaking that it's a basic bike, but thanks to its 645cc liquid-cooled double overhead cam V-twin engine, within a few minutes of thumbing the one press start button, I was pleased to find out that I was in for an experience that was more than the sum of the SV's parts. The engine is undoubtedly the bike's centrepiece, and it makes the SV unique among its competitors, where two of the most popular players from Yamaha in the MT-07 and Kawasaki in the ER6N use parallel twins instead of the inline four found in Honda's CB650F. With a claimed 75 horsepower, 5 horsepower more than the old Gladius, and 47 pounds-per-foot of torque on tap, there's fun to be had, even though the SV tips the scales at 197 kilos compared to the MT's 182 kilograms. The engine is a great balance of smoothness and character and is more memorable than the motor in the Yamaha. Part of the reason for that is because it sounds so good. As well as working on the airbox so it contributes to more power higher up the rev range, Suzuki's engineers have also spent time making sure it makes half decent induction noise. They've done a good job. With the revs around 5,000 RPM, the new SV650 gurgles like Chewbacca, and even the stock exhaust doesn't sound too sad. On the road, the bike feels punchy, and while power begins to build from around 3,000 RPM, it's best to keep the motor spinning between 5 and 8 grand, which is where the power from the water sounding engine is always within easy reach. There's enough torque present to get away with a bit of lazy riding, and it'll also tolerate running a gear or two too high without too much in the way of protesting. It also benefits from sweet fueling and a peachy throttle response, both of which came into their own on the countless, never-ending curves on the roads leading up the Costa Brava from Lloret de Mar. The SV was enormous fun here, and it really revelled in being turned in and fired out of bends with increasing gusto on my part as I pushed more and more as the day went on. The engine can't take all the glory here, however, because the new SV has a revised chassis derived from the Gladius, but with 80 changes to make it lighter, simpler and narrower. For the most part, the rest of the bike is similarly capable, just not as endearing. Take the suspension for example. At the front, the non-adjustable forks felt unfazed by the wide range of roads I tested the bike on. They're not amazing, but they felt good, and Suzuki has made a good choice with them because they cope without fuss all day, never got out of shape over bumps, lumps or poor surfaces. Crucially, they stay composed at speed, probably more composed than me. It's the same story with the preload adjustable rear shock. On the final fast blast back to the hotel, when I was being bravest with the throttle, the shock was composed and allowing me to feel how much the rear Dunlop Sport Max qualifier was gripping, or not. But going fast ain't no fun if you can't stop, and the SV's front wheel is flanked by a couple of 2-piston Takiko calipers and 2 90mm floating discs. They felt okay and gave consistent performance whenever I called on them to properly slow things down from speed for a tight bend. Ergonomically, if you're short, you should sit on the SV's comfortable 785mm high seat and marvel, because there's a good chance that both your feet will be able to touch the floor if you're at least 5'4". It's a comfortable and unthreatening bike to sit on and ride all day because the pegs, bars and seat put you in a comfortable position. The mirrors are good too, showed more of the road behind than my shoulder and arms. The LCD dash is great, it's clear and easy to read with everything in a sensible position. I suspect it's attached to a cheap bracket though, because the dash on my bike easily moved under the weight of my finger when I pressed the buttons in charge of resetting this and adjusting that. The one press easy start system worked flawlessly, and initially, although it didn't interest me as a feature, by the end of the day I really liked having it. So, reworked and updated Gladius or not? Well, after riding the new SV, I'm not sure it matters when it's this good. The new SV is a good bike with a lot to offer a lot of riders, and although it's not quite the bold aluminium framed naked sportster it was when it first launched, it's still endowed with a big sense of fun, and it only costs £5,499, which makes it cheaper than rivals like the Kawasaki ER6N and Yamaha MT-07.